Hey guys, welcome back to Pop Culture with Pat. Today we're talking about the latest horror movie, The Lodge. So The Lodge is brought to us by the same duo that brought us Goodnight Mommy, a film that I have yet to check out yet, so I'll probably definitely have to, take a look at that after seeing this film. So this is really my first experience, getting to see these guys work. And for those who don't know, the basic idea of this film or the plot, you have this man who he is separated from his wife, and he's actually getting ready to marry this other woman. The kids they're not really too fond of her. So when the dad decides to take them up to this lodge that's in the middle of nowhere, and because he just wants to kind of give them a little bit more time to bond with her, and he brings them up there, it's right around the holidays. He ends up having to go back into town for like a few days for work, so it ends up just being the fiance and these two kids. So they're definitely not too happy about it, and then a snowstorm comes in, they end up getting trapped there, and a lot of weird stuff starts to happen. So that's pretty much the basic idea of this film. I definitely don't want to go into really more detail than that, because I want you guys to go into this film, pretty blind like I was for the most part. I did see the trailer, but it was only once, so for the most part, went into this kind of blind. And this initially was something that was released earlier in February, but it was a really, really small release. I think New York, LA, some of the bigger cities. But even now, I still had to go over another state to go check this out. So it's not something that has this wide release, but if it's around you, I definitely recommend, you giving it a try. So we'll go ahead and get into things that I liked about this movie. So first off, I want to just give you guys a heads up that this is definitely a slow burn, psychological type of horror film. So it kind of along the lines of The Babadook, Hereditary, films like that. So just want to give you that, that heads up warning in advance, because if those films are something that you're not really a fan of, then you might not like this. I know those films kind of are a little bit divisive as far as audiences go. I really tend to like them, but I did just want to kind of give you guys a heads up that that's the kind of film that you're going to be getting when you go into The Lodge. So I just wanted to give you a heads up. So I absolutely love this film. The cinematography I thought was great. There was definitely a lot of blues and grays in this film, so the color palette really gave it kind of that bleak, cold, haunting, vibe to it. So that was definitely something that I felt really added to it. And during this movie, so I mentioned, a few films before, but there was definitely a couple times that it gave me some vibes of the first Sinister film. I never got a chance to see the second one, but the first one, I remember, especially with the snuff films and stuff like that, the way that was shot really kind of creeped me out. So there was a couple times in this movie that it had vibes similar to that. Specifically, I really liked some of the shots when they were going up to the lodge, I believe it was. A couple times when they were driving, it had kind of that grainy, creepy look to it. So that was something that I really, really liked about it, and just kind of set the mood and the tension, started building up that tension in this movie. The score actually also reminded me a little bit of Sinister. So, and those are both things as far as the first Sinister film goes, I really like. So that's definitely a plus in my books. But that, it reminded me of Sinister a little bit. And then just overall, the film for the most part though, it's a pretty quiet movie. So that definitely adds to the tension. And there was several scenes in this film where I did actually jump, which is pretty impressive, because usually for the most part, I'm not someone that, jumps pretty easily with scary movies. So they were actually able to get me. And it wasn't just a jump scare for a jump scare reason. I liked how they kind of played around with the sound design in this film. So they definitely got me a few times. So I got to give them a thumbs up for that. I thought as far as performances go, so I thought the three main characters in this film, which is the fiance, which is Riley Keough. I thought she was probably the best performance for me in this film, because there's a certain aspect of her that you slowly start to kind of understand that she has this kind of disturbing background, and you get to know a little bit more of it as soon as as the film kind of goes on. And I thought that she was really good as far as that stuff goes. But I also thought the two kids, which is played by Jaeden Martell and Riley Keough, I thought they both gave good performances as well. They really felt like a brother and sister. So that's good. You know, pretty much solid performances all around. And those were like the three main characters, though, so I kind of wanted to focus on them. But everyone else, I thought, you know, was pretty good as well. So yeah, I mean, overall, I think this movie, you know, I just loved how it was a nice, you know, slow burn psychological horror film. It really drove like the tension throughout the whole movie. They did this cool thing where they would just like the camera would really just like focus on like characters for these like long shots. That was really cool. But it was something that, you know, even a couple days after seeing it, that I'm still really thinking about it. So I can tell that this is something that I'll be able to watch again and really, you know, pick up maybe a few more things on it as far as like the symbolism and stuff like that goes, because there's definitely a lot of that littered throughout the film. So overall, I really enjoyed this. You know, it's interesting. I mean, it's not, I guess, like totally surprising for me because, like I said, some of these other films that I mentioned, The Babadook, It Follows, The Witch, Hereditary, things like that, a lot of those have been pretty divisive as far as, you know, it seems like you either like love it or you hate it. So when I saw like the score, I think right now it has like a 71% on Rotten Tomatoes, which I really don't agree with. But, you know, just give you guys a heads up. This is definitely kind of one of those type of films, in my opinion. So when you go in to see it, go into the film, I guess, with those kind of like expectations. So that way you're not like surprised. But I really enjoyed it. Like I said, I'm a pretty big fan of those types of films. So I would say, like, as far as like a score goes, I'm definitely going to give this an 8.5 out of 10. If you get a chance, like I said, definitely seek it out. If you don't, you know, if it's not playing in a theater around you, definitely, you know, pick it up at least when it comes out on streaming or Blu-ray. So now, if you guys have seen The Lodge, definitely let me know what you think down below in the comments. I'm really curious to see what you guys think. You know, try not to put any spoilers, but if you are going to put like spoilers, you know, at least make sure to hit enough spaces so that way someone has to click like read more. Because definitely want people going into this with kind of as open of a mind as like possible. But yeah, let me know what you guys think down below in the comments. And as always, if you are new to the channel, please make sure to hit that subscribe button and hit that bell button next to it. That way you get notifications for all my new videos. And as always, guys, please make sure to check back for more Pop Culture with Pat.